This is California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Roberto Uranga is joining us again. He is now a member of the Long Beach City Council. He had been on the Long Beach Community College District for many years, a leader in community colleges. You were the national president?
Yes, the national chairman of the ACCT, the Association of Community College Trustees.
So, sir, how is it? I mean, you were so dedicated to the community college system. Yeah. It's a completely different beast now that you're a municipal government.
It certainly is. I mean, when you look at community colleges, I had basically 4 constituents. I had administration, faculty, students, and staff.
Right.
Now my constituency is everything. It's from people who want to protect the environment to people who are concerned about public safety, their pets, people who want to have their streets clean and fixed, and their sidewalks.
But I must ask you, why is it that you wanted to move to this position? You were such a national leader in community college districts that you could have easily stayed on that board, continued your advocacy both state and nationally. What made you decide to say, you know, I've done my time, if I may use that cliche, and now I want to move on?
Well, and that's exactly it. I mean, I've reached the heights of leadership in community colleges that I thought it was time for me to move on and allow an opportunity for someone else to take some leadership in there. And this opportunity presented itself. It was a vacant seat. I live in that district, and I got a call. From a couple of colleagues who said the seat is vacant. Why don't you run for it? So will you support me? Help me raise money? They said yes. I said okay, I'll think about it. And then my wife a few minutes later sent me a text saying, you have your press release ready? And I said, I'm working on it. So it was one of those things where everything sort of gelled. It was serendipitous to a great extent, but it worked.
And what's interesting about your election is you are one of 5 out of 9 that are new members of the Long Beach City Council. So as we speak today, over half of the Long Beach City Council is new. A 6th position will be new because a sitting member has been elected to the California Assembly. Right.
Patrick O'Donnell was elected this past Tuesday, well, a week ago. And that creates a vacancy. So now 6 out of the 9 council members will be on the council in less than a year.
2/3.
2/3.
And you have a new mayor.
And we have a new mayor, Robert Garcia, and he's doing a great job.
Who had been a council member.
He was the council member in the 1st district. He was there for about 6 years.
Of the 5 that were recently elected, you are the only one that had been an elected official.
Yeah.
2 of them had worked for council members. One works for the county. Another is a DA. All experience that's invaluable. But it's different being an elected official.
It is.
From chief of staff to elected official, it's very different. The spotlight is on you. You're the one that's making the decisions. And so talk to me about how the seasoning of your prior elections has helped and how you perceive your colleagues and how you're helping them be in the spotlight.
Well, when it comes to elections, you're looking at yourself as a policy maker. In prior jobs, like for example, Stacy Mungo and Susie Price, who worked in other entities as we speak.
Sure.
They're implementing policy.
Right.
So you're going from an implementer, facilitator, to a policy maker, and it's a different type of mindset. You have to put yourself in a different position where you are not only thinking about yourself and your colleagues, but you're thinking about the greater majority of the people who will represent not only in your district but in the city as a whole.
And with regard to Lena Gonzalez and Rex Richardson, they were essentially chiefs of staff to the districts in which they are now the council members. And again, it's a different role. I mean, you are advocating on behalf of your member when you're chief of staff. Now you are the member.
Yes. And to a great extent, there's an advantage to that because they understand the issues. They know the constituents. They know all the community groups are in there. They have the pulse of their communities in terms of what's happening there. So they have an advantage in regards to being able to push some items forward for their districts because of that.
Who was your predecessor?
My predecessor was James Johnson.
James Johnson. Okay, so your district is a pretty well-heeled district. I mean, there are some challenging areas, but it's not. No, it will help me.
Well, my district is well, for lack of a better term, gerrymandered.
Right.
It's the most gerrymandered district in the city. It goes from my eastern border, which is the airport, cuts across through the central Long Beach into the West Long Beach area, and my western border is the Port of Long Beach. In the middle, I'm crossed by the 710 freeway and the 405 freeway. And with those four entities there, I have a lot of issues with pollution, environmental issues. Up in the northern part of my district, you have upper middle class residents, single family homes. In the central part of the area, you have middle class individuals. And the West Long Beach area, you have working class individuals.
So
each with different needs.
So how do you address the needs of all those disparate interests?
With great difficulty.
I can only imagine, sir. But if anyone can do it. So what are your goals as you enter, now you're past the first 100 days. Right. What are your goals?
Yeah. Well, we're working on trying to create a strong economic development base for the district, and as well as for the city as a whole. And it's our opinion, and it's mine actually, that if I can build communities that are vibrant, that are walkable, good and safe neighborhoods by having good, thriving, successful businesses and business corridors in the 7th, that would improve not only the quality of life in my district, but it would raise property values and it would create some pride in the neighborhood.
I know your mayor, Robert Garcia, is also bullish on economic development.
Right.
My question for you, though, is cities had a tool to try to improve blighted neighborhoods. That was redevelopment.
Right.
That tool is gone.
Right.
And Long Beach had used that tool, some would say effectively. So what do you do? What does the mayor do? What does your city do to try to create economic development opportunities without that redevelopment tool?
And that's the challenge. Just last evening, we had a city council meeting where we're going to be selling some of those properties that were in redevelopment and getting those monies back. And so now the issue is, what do we do with that money? Do we reinvest it back into those properties that we sold it, or do we try to invest it in a general citywide program?
Or
we have a little bit of both.
Or do you put it into your pension obligations, which I'd like to speak with you about? Because you know as well as anyone that pension obligations are a tremendous weight on cities. Yes. And while your city has seen some successful pension reform, I have learned that Long Beach expects a spike of 87% in the next 6 years in pension obligations.
And the first hit that we're going to get will probably be in 2016, where we're going to be addressing those issues.
Right, and you're in surplus now, but not for long.
Not for long.
And
I think that the mayor has a good austerity plan already in place that it's going to be saving some money over the next several years, so that the impact is not as great as it would be had we not have a
I believe you had worked for a labor union. Is that right?
No, I worked for the city.
The city. Okay, I misspoke. I misspoke. What I wanted to get a sense from you, though, is that even your mayor said, you are a city that values its employees. You want to give your employees a positive work environment. But in the end, cities cannot be as generous as they have been in the past when it comes to pensions. Right. So how do you create positive labor relations when you're going to have to go back and say to them, we can't increase pensions, we need to pull back pensions arguably, you're advocating for the state to allow more pension reform. This becomes dicey.
It certainly is, and I'm glad that I'm not negotiating. I'm not on the negotiating table.
Right.
But it comes down to is what are the interests of both? What's the interest of the city? What's the interest of the employees? And we have to come to a middle ground and have to agree to disagree on some points, and we have to agree that whatever is better for the better good of the city, for the better good of the employees, they want to keep working, and for the better of the city, we want to make sure that we continue to provide the excellent amount of services that the city deserves, that our residents deserve.
The challenge is that last time when the city was able to obtain pension reform, times were not good. So it was easy to go to your partners and say, times aren't good, times are better.
Right, right. And what we had to do the last time is lay off a couple of people. Several hundred people, and I was part of that, unfortunately. And
you were laid off yourself?
No, I
had to do the laying off.
I had to do. I had
so
to
you
I had to
from
deliver.
what you speak.
I had to deliver some letters, unfortunately.
Okay, his name is Roberto Uranga. He is a council member in Long Beach on Brad Pomerance. It's California.
By the way, I want to give you this. I want to.
I like it. Yes, look at this. Here's the mustache.
I wanted to give you that.